Democrats at this point are historically divided. It is a complete and utter mess. It is messier than a hoarder's basement.
Messier than a whore's basement? That is probably a pretty messy basement down there, especially since she's now dating Kid Rock. R.I.P. Oh wait, he said a hoarder's basement, not a whore's basement.
Trump is the new Adolf.
Welcome to the Chud Report. I'm your host, MJ. You end up liking this video, make sure you subscribe. As some of you may know, this channel has a complicated relationship with polls. Even a more complicated relationship with polls than Lindsey Graham. For us, it's which polls do we use? Which ones are accurate? Are any accurate anymore? And for Lindsey Graham, it's which poll do you sit on and which one do you smoke? And in this picture right here, he's sitting on the pole. I believe the North Pole. And to that kid in the comments who cries about AI, I photoshopped that. Took me 2 hours. It's a masterpiece, so no crying on this episode, okay? And as far as the polls that have hurt us on this show, the polls that have hurt me personally, it's this guy right here, Gollum. I'll never trust anything he says again. CNN executive was watching Steve Kornacki, and he said, you know what, I kind of like this guy's energy. But is there some way we can make him sound like he's from North Jersey? I don't know, make him somewhat of a dick, and that's how you get this guy right here. And honestly, if I was this guy and I was leaning into the Sopranos accent to try to give you the numbers, I would take the 10% of me that's Italian. That 10%. And I would say sometimes the polls, they go up, they go down. And right now, the Democrats go wop, wop, wop. And my wife said, no one's going to get that joke. No one understands those words. And I had to sit her down and explain to her that that's basically the N-word for me. Or 10% of me.
What are we talking about here? The national early poll
What are we
leader,
talking about
25%
here?
plus.
Look right there. The last guy running. It's the Riddler.
Normally, that's where Democrats are. Biden was at 25% plus in 2020. Hillary Clinton was in 08 and 16. Gore was in 00 and 04.
What
at
about
this
Obama?
Particular point, there is no one in the Democratic race for president who's polling at 25% plus. The water is quite warm. If you're a Democrat potentially thinking about running in 2028, jump right in, because at this point, there is no front runner.
First off, I do not want to jump in warm water with you, Harry Enten. But I would like to take this opportunity to let everyone watching this channel know that I am, in fact, running for president of the United States. Now, I have a couple controversies, right? There's a picture of when I was a younger man. A lot younger of a man. Who's that guy? But in this day and age, I imagine pictures like this, the uncensored ones, will only help me with the Andrew Schultzes of the world, with the Theo Vaughns of the world.
So I don't think I've changed. I just like the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want.
This is how Andrew Schultz looks, right, with a mustache. Hey, I look all right with a mustache. You can really see the Italian with the mustache. You know I can tell jokes like that. Andrew Schultz will be like, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy right there, beer and Democrats don't like that stuff anymore, but this guy does. Anyway, let's get back on the track to why I made this episode. Harry Enten, whatever his name is, I don't care. He should spend less time on his in the mirror Sopranos impressions and more time researching what he's saying. Why didn't he mention Obama? We have no Democrats polling above 25% for the first time since 1992. That's important to remember. In 1992, I was 35 years old. I'm just kidding. I don't want to tell you how old I really was in 1992, because then you'll figure out how old I am right now. But in 1992, no Democrat topped 25% in the early polls. Partly because big names such as Mario Cuomo, declined to run. Clinton stumbled out of the gate. A lot of people don't remember this. A lot of history doesn't catch up to this. But Clinton was in no way the chosen one in 1992. He stumbled out of the gate. He rebounded in New Hampshire. And that's why he was named the comeback kid. Clinton's momentum from that primary carried him through the election. The lack of an early frontrunner allowed rank-and-file voters, not the party elites. George Bush, Mr. Yale, Mr. CIA, that's who he was running against, right? After the Hollywood star Ronald Reagan. So in 1992, if you just listen to Harry, it sounds like it's a terrible place to be in. In 1992, the Democrats won. The hillbilly beat the Yale elite. Populism. And ironically, this set up a Clinton dynasty to compete with a Bush dynasty. If a populist lives long enough, they get to see themselves become the elite. But for the next 25 years, both parties would try to manipulate. They would try to cut people out of this primary process. In 2000, we didn't even get the smart kid, the smart Bush. We got the dumb one. And then in 2008, something Harry didn't mention. Does anyone wonder why Obama wasn't on that board? The Democratic Party really thought this Democratic Party that, I've been a part of my whole life. Yeah, all right, I'm here. I'm in it. They told us in 2008, we want to go Bush, Clinton, Bush, and then we want another Clinton. President Obama was a populist or not, one thing's for certain. Candidate Obama was definitely a populist. He tapped into the hope and change. He wanted to break away from the elites. And what's more elite than trying to set up American political dynasties? When these political dynasties go on too long, you get whatever this is, a worm-eaten brain of a Kennedy. You know what I mean? But the thing Harry doesn't touch on is that the primary made Obama stronger, just like Bill Clinton. I mean, Hillary released this picture of him trying to tap into that 9/11 fevered America, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. As someone who worked on that campaign, I worked on both campaigns, and 2008 was definitely a grassroots campaign. Harry sees no frontrunner, Harry sees no frontrunner 3.5 years away from a presidential election. He sees that as garbage in the basement, and I see it as a great thing. The bad taste of the 2016 primaries, the way Biden exited in 2020. The Democratic Party desperately needs to have a competitive primary. An open primary suits a political movement when voters crave anti-establishment figures, right? And the candidate that emerges from that process, that democratic process, will most likely have a compelling narrative to go into the general with. And spoiler alert, much like the 2026 election, the 2028 election, this fascistic Republican Party are not going to have any issues to hang their hats on. They're not going to have anything to run on. It's why Greg Abbott is scrambling to gerrymander his map. He's supposed to do it once every decade. He's going to do it every year now. It's why he's scrambling to do it. And 2028's not going to be any better. He's sending bounty hunters after, representatives in his state, senators in his state. And having no clear frontrunner, especially one of the elites in the party, means that Republicans can't spend the next 3.5 years destroying one person with their propaganda machine, right? Every potential candidate gets to introduce themselves fresh to the voters instead of a pre-damaged Amazon package. And obviously, I'm taking some liberties assuming we even have a presidential election in 2028, right? I would say at this point, it's about a 70-30 chance, maybe a 60-40 chance. 50-50 chance that we actually have a political presidential Democratic Republic election. And taking that huge assumption even further, that's pretending that the Supreme Court won't let Trump somehow run again. Oh, we found this rule that we just made up that says you can run again. But if Trump can't run, this Republican Party is going to be left with a $4.5 trillion tab and literally nothing to show for it. I mean, they'll have plenty to show for it: a crashed economy, a recession. No one is in Vegas. And I'm not even sure dumbass Theo Vaughn can make that look good to even his dimmest of viewer out there.
What do you think? Is that because how people view the Democratic Party right now, is that contributing to this?
Yeah, I think that is in large part of what's going on, is one of the reasons why there is no front runner. Nobody wants to put anybody up at the top of their ballot list, is because at this particular point, the Democratic brand is in the basement. It is total and complete garbage in the mind of the American public.
Garbage.
The Democratic Party's net favorable rating, record lows in all three. Wall Street Journal, 30 points underwater. CNN, 26 points underwater. Gallup, 26 points underwater. And that is being driven in large part by discontent within the Democratic base. The Democratic base wants something different. We'll ultimately end up seeing who they choose. It'll be quite the thing who ultimately gets the rose.
Yes, sir.
Oof, Maron! This country is starving for a generational change, a turnover. The old world is dying. The new world struggles to be born, and now is the time of monsters. Hope and change from Obama did not involve bringing back a Clinton. It involved moving forward. In my opinion, for the foreseeable future, politics is going to be populism. If you didn't watch it, I've made an episode on it. Go check it out. And in this populist era, coronations, it's my turn, are poison. Authenticity, competition, and grassroots energy is the Democrats' best hope to break this fever dream of MAGA. The Chud Report.